Hey, students, I welcome you once again to Learning and Development. Good. Now, in our previous lesson, we discussed training, we discussed learning, we discussed development, and how these concepts affect the progress of businesses and organizations, whether profit or non-profit ones. We talked about why training programs fail and what causes managers not to want to embark on training programs. Great. In our lesson today, our topic is strategic training process. We want to talk into detail about how the various steps in the strategic training process can be followed through to achieve a successful training program. You would want to go with me as I share my screen with you. All right, good. So objectives for the lesson are that we'll be able to explain strategic training process, administer training, and also evaluate training programs. This is Unit 2, and we're going to go through a very interesting class, so you'd want to follow. Great. So the strategic training process, you understand that training is very crucial for every organization's success, right? Now, for trainings to be successful, there's a need to align our training programs with the strategy of the organization. Now, there are 9 major steps that every organization that seeks to strategically train have to go through, right? So we'll go through the steps one after the other, and you would want to follow for the details of the various steps. So we take step 1, which says understand organizational objective or strategy. Every organization, whether for profit or non-profit, has a strategy. Now, the strategy is the roadmap, okay, how the organization intends to do business, how the organization sees itself and what it intends to achieve. Okay, so it encompasses a lot of things now, including the mission, leveraging on core competencies, and positioning itself. Okay, all these things come into the strategy. Now, training programs must align definitely with the strategy to be able to achieve the maximum output from our training programs. So we want to look at the things that feed into strategy. Okay, every strategy is fed by these things. There are about 6 major things that are fused into to get the strategy of the organization. That's the mission, the vision, goals, values, and then SWOT analysis and choices, we can say. So we want to look at these few, the mission, the vision. So when we say the mission of an organization, it talks about why the organization is in business, mission, why they are established, what are they for, what are they representing, okay, what is the organization doing, okay, this is the mission. Now the vision is what the organization seeks to achieve, okay, what you will achieve when you fulfill your mission. So that is the vision, how they want to be in the next, where they want to be, how they want to go about things in the next 10, 20, 40, 50 years to come. Now the goals are where the organization aim to be within a certain time frame. Okay, those are the goals. So short-term goals, long-term goals, all those things come under goals. Now the values, the principles that guide the business. Okay, those are the values. All right, so these are 4 of the things that feed into strategy. If you're able to know these things and state them clearly, you'll be able to come up with a perfect strategy for your business. Again, you want to look at the SWOT analysis. Okay, now the SWOT analysis talks about the external and internal environment, dealing with the strengths and weaknesses in the internal environment, and then the opportunities and threats in the external environment. Now, when we talk about the strengths, they are the things that are helpful to you in order to achieve your objectives. Your strengths are those things that help you to be able to work at your objectives. The weaknesses are harmful, okay, to achieving the objectives. And then you come to the opportunities. The opportunities are within the external environment, okay, but they are helpful, and threats are harmful because there are things in the external environment that are likely to hinder your progress as an organization. So those are the things that we call threats, okay? So we want to quickly take an example of a SWOT analysis that was conducted or made by Apple. All right. Now, Apple says that its strengths are brand recognition, innovative products, ease of use. Okay, so these are the strengths of Apple. And then their weaknesses are high prices, closed ecosystem, lack of experimentation. Good. Now, their opportunities are expand distribution options, create new product lines, technological advancement. Okay. And lastly, the threats that Apple identified are tough competition, lawsuits, and international issues. So now that we have looked at Apple's SWOT analysis, you would want to have a SWOT analysis for yourself personally, and then also for your business that you are running, or a business that you are working with, okay, your organization that you are working with. You would want to do this extensive analysis for your organization. So all these things have to be looked at when you want to understand the organizational strategy to be able to have a very good training program designed and implemented. You need to understand your mission, you need to understand your vision, or the organization's mission or vision, and then the goals, the values, as well as the SWOT analysis has to be performed to be able to get to the point where you have a detailed roadmap as to how your training should be designed to benefit the organization. Remember, a lot of money goes into training, so you wouldn't want to just organize any training for the fun of it, but you would want to be able to align it to strategy. And these are some of the things that you need to consider when designing a training program. Very good. So we move to the second step: perform training needs analysis. Perform training needs analysis. All right. Now, a training needs analysis is just to gather data, okay, just to collect data on various levels of the organization, okay, and to be able to find out what your performance desires are. So if you desire to perform at this level, you're trying to find out what we are doing differently, okay, and the actual performance and then the standard performance. If there's a difference, and we say that there's a discrepancy, okay, there's a discrepancy between the two, and therefore there's a need for training, okay. So the performance can be interpreted to a new managerial skill or technical skills required to do a job. All right. Now, at every point in time, you want to see that, okay, this is what we intend to get. This is where we are. So the discrepancy is where we say that you've been able to perform a training needs analysis. Good. So step 3, quickly, we want to identify gaps. There are several gaps, and here we've been able to identify about 6 gaps that we need to look at in our training process. We talk about strategic context, the context analysis. So the context analysis deals with where you are operating, okay? Your organization is different from Apple. Your organization is different from MTN. Your organization may be different from Vodafone or Samsung. Your organization may be different from ATU. So your context is always different, and there's a need for you to understand the context within which you are working. If you want to compare yourself to Airtel, Tigo, you want to compare yourself to all the brands around you, what you are likely to do is that you're likely to be working in their shadow, and there's a tendency for you to fail. But if you're able to understand your context, okay, then there's a likelihood for you to be able to succeed. Now, the strategic user analysis talks about the people who are going to benefit from the training, the trainees, okay, understand them. You need to be able to analyze them, know their level of understanding with some issues. You are going to train people who are going to be using technology, right? And these people find it difficult to even boot a computer. All right, you need to be able to understand the dynamics, the age brackets, the demographics, if I should say, of the people that you're going to train. That's going to go a long way to help you to be able to come up with a good training. Now, strategic work analysis, the work involved. Okay, what work is involved? What do they do? Okay, as trainees. These are the things that you should be able to. So if I'm going to train on fashion, if I'm going to train on building, okay, the work involved, training people on building is totally different from training people on cooking. There are different dynamics, and you need to understand these things. Now, the strategic content. So the content of the training has to also be analyzed to be able to find out where the gaps are. All right. Then training suitability. How suitable is the training that you're offering to the organization, to the people, to the context? There should be a suitability analysis. All right. The last one is a cost benefit analysis. I mean, you don't want to organize a training that's going to take more from the organization and give less. If a training is going to take 500,000 US dollars from the organization, there's a need for the training to give more. So you have to do the cost benefit analysis. And these are the gaps that you'll be able to identify to find out whether the training is aligning with your strategy or not. Good. Now, the fourth step is setting training objectives or goals. Beautiful. Setting training objectives or goals. Right. Now, in setting goals for your training in the organization, there are certain things that you need to consider. And we always use the acronym SMART in management. We use the acronym SMART to signify specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. Or other researchers will say time-bound. Okay. Every goal that you're setting for the training has to be specific. The goals have to be measurable, have to be attainable, relevant, and timely. All right. Now, when we say the goal has to be specific, what we mean is that the goal has to be concrete and tangible. Okay. Everyone knows what it looks like. So at every point in time, all the employees can identify with the goal. It shouldn't be something that is in the skies. So, for example, you give a goal, you set a goal like, we want to progress in the organization. Really, you want to progress. How? Where? In what area? In which department? It's not specific. And nobody would want to follow through with you because your goals are not concrete. I mean, they can't identify with the goals. The goals that you set for your training program should also be measurable. Okay, the goal should have objective measure of success, okay, that everyone can understand. You should be able to measure the goals, okay, so you say, okay, we want to increase sales by 50%. So everybody knows that we are doing 50%, we are doing 20%, we are doing 10%, we are doing 200 cartons. Let the goal be measurable. Again, the goal should be attainable, means that it should be challenging, but it shouldn't be out of place. Okay, there should be resources available for the goal. You don't say that I want to be able to sell 3,000 cartons when you know that your production line produces 20 a day and you want to sell 3,000 a day. It makes it look as if you are, I mean, there's something wrong with you. You should be able to set attainable goals. The height that you're setting, it shouldn't be a height that would discourage your employees. It should be a height that they will look at and get challenged and want to work at it. Good. Now, it should also be relevant. The goals have to be meaningful, okay, in terms of contribution. It has to be able to feed into the larger objective. Okay, there's a broad objective you are looking at. But if your goals are going that way, and then your broad objective is also going, or general objective is going that way, there's always a problem. So the goals have to be able to feed into the general objective that you have. All right. Lastly, every goal that you set for your business should have a deadline in terms of training. So you've set training objectives. the training objectives should have deadlines, should have milestones. So we are training these people in such a way that in the next 2 days, they'll be able to do so and so and so. So the deadline is 2 days. After the second day, we do an analysis of where we are, all right? So at every point in time, your training objectives must be time bound. There should be a time range within which you have to work. If not, everybody will relax, everybody will sleep, and before you know, things will get out of hand. Okay, so it's very important that our training programs have these things in place. They should be, I mean, the objectives of the training should be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. I want to stop here for questions, so you can quickly put in your questions in the chat console, and I'll be glad to answer them. We'll meet again to continue with this lesson, to look at the other steps that are involved in the strategic training process. Thank you so much for sticking with me. See you again next time.